Hey, what's up guys? It's JP from Mason Dixon Diggers. Welcome to my backyard. Hopefully it's not too windy today to do a YouTube video, and hopefully it comes out clear. I wanted to do a quick video. Yesterday, Brian Koblance and I had an amazing hunt. We were out on a permission of mine on the outskirts of the Battle of Monocacy. We found a bunch of things: Civil War bullets, buttons, artillery fragments, fuse. It was just a really good hunt, but the find of the day was Brian's find. Brian Koblance found a Confederate lock plate, a rare Confederate Richmond musket lock plate, which is awesome. And I have it here with me now. And I have this lock plate now because what I was hoping to do is I was going to do a video for everybody to see electrolysis from the beginning to the end. I'm going to do everything. I'm going to explain how I set up my electrolysis, how you can set up yours, but this is how I do mine. And then I'm going to do it from the beginning to the end and all the way to where I'm waxing it and sealing it, so you guys can see that and show you what I do and how I do that. But I want you guys to stay tuned, and hopefully you guys will enjoy what I have to show you. And then maybe you guys can also have some suggestions for me and stuff that I can learn along the way. I just think that's what it's all about, that we can feed off each other and learn new ways and new techniques about doing things. But I hope you enjoy this video. I hope this lock plate turns out really well. This is the second lock plate that I've done. I'm hoping that we can get some writing on it, where it does say CS Richmond on the lock plate on all the ones that we've seen online, which should be right about here. So I'm hoping that's going to come out clear. We'll see. But guys, stay tuned so you guys can see how I do it from the beginning to the end, and I hope you enjoy this video. If you do enjoy this video, please like us on Facebook, Mason Dixon Diggers, and then please subscribe to us on YouTube, JP, trying to get it done and get it done right. So hope you guys like this video. Stay tuned. Thanks. I'm going to go ahead and go over real quick how I set up my electrolysis tank. Everybody does it differently, but this is sort of how I did mine. I didn't want to make a tank that was huge, but I also wanted to have a tank that was big enough to where I could put, you know, medium-sized objects in there and get it done. So first thing what I did is I went to Home Depot and I bought these big steel plates. I don't know if you guys can see it right here. These steel plates are what I connect, okay, what I connect the positive line to. So I don't know if you can see this tank. What I did is I just ran a positive line from one plate to the other, okay. I screwed holes in between or through the plates, and then I just went ahead and mounted the line straight into the plate and tightened it down. I did that on each side. And then what I did is I spliced the line right here in the middle, okay, to where I can hook my power probe straight up onto that line, to where it's going to evenly disperse the energy to each plate, okay. So that's how I set my plates up, and I set it up inside this tank. I believe this tank, it's not a big one. It's only 19 quarts, so it's pretty small, fairly small. But it's big enough to get the job done. Okay, so this here is going to be your positive line. Okay, so your positive line in your plates, okay, is not the line that's going to have your object that's getting an electrolysis done to it on. But this, the positive line, and let me back it up here, guys. If you could see this here, this is a battery charger that I have, okay? On this battery charger, I have the 2 amp and the 10 amp. I typically start out, if it's a small object, the 2 amp. If it's a larger object, I start out with the 10 amp, okay? Now, this is a battery charger you can just pick up anywhere, you know, at some auto parts store or something like that. But, so, this right here is the positive. The positive is going to go on to my splice line right there. Okay, now the negative right here is what's going to go to your object that you're doing electrolysis on. In this situation, it's going to be the lock plate that we're going to be doing. Okay, So there's several ways that you could do it. You can connect it directly to it and put it down in the solution, or I've made this up here to where it's a board, okay, that goes across, and I have a hook that's screwed through the board. The reason why I do that is you can actually suspend that right on top there like that, okay, and then what you could do is you take this clamp and you clamp it straight to this. Then on the other side it has the hook, so whatever your object is can hook to that, okay, and go into the solution. So it's either, I mean, it all depends on how you want to do it. I have that, I've done it both ways to where I connect it directly to this and I go straight in. Now, very important for you guys to know that when you do this, you cannot have your object in this solution and touching these plates, okay? So it's either got to suspend in between these plates, okay, or just sit on the bottom, but it cannot touch these plates, okay? Because what you're going to be doing is you're going to be hooking the negative charge to your object, and that's going to be negative. It's going to pull that negative charge and pull that rust off of your object, and it's going to take that rust off your object, and it's going to send that rust to your plates because these are positively charged. So it's going to pull the rust off your object and send it to the positive charge plates, and that's how your electrolysis is done. It's a slow process, but just take your time, and then along the way you got to constantly check it. But that's how I do mine. So we'll go over the solution then and the stuff that I use down there next. But you need a battery charger. You're going to need your line, your right here, it's going to be your positive charge line, and then you're going to have your negative charge line in there. I hope that helps out a little bit, but we'll go over it a little bit more and as I'm setting it up, so you guys can see when I'm setting it up how I do it. So, but that's just a brief rundown of it. And then you're going to need, okay, you're going to need this here, okay. This here is going to be sodium carbonate. You want to get sodium carbonate. I've read a lot of things that says use sodium carbonate, not sodium bicarbonate. There's a difference. Some people say, oh, you can use both, but a lot of people have said that the sodium carbonate works a lot better. So I use the sodium carbonate, not the sodium bicarbonate, and that's what I use. But stay tuned, and then I'll show you guys how I'm going to set it all up and get it all running, so you guys can sort of get an idea of how I do it. All right? Hopefully it works out. I'm sure it will. Stay tuned, guys. Here it is. This thing is beautiful. This is an awesome find. Brian had a really great find with this. All right, but what I wanted to tell you what I do next is, and some people might do this differently, but I like to do it this way, is I like to put the rusted item, especially if it's been sitting in mud and dirt and it's all caked on there like that. I don't recommend, this is just me, some people might do things differently. I don't recommend just chipping that off or just throwing that right into the electrolysis tank like that. And the reason why is you want to have a really good connection onto the metal for the electrolysis to work properly. You want that current to run through this metal really well. And if you just hooked it right on top of this, all that corroded rust and then all that mud, it's not going to get a really good connection. So what I recommend, and this is what I do with all my stuff, is I put it into like a little container, and then I put warm water on it. And here we go, guys. I put warm water on it like this. Okay, and what I'm going to do with that is I'm just going to let it soak in that. Okay, and I'll let it soak in there for, I don't know, maybe about a half hour or so. And I do that because I just want to get that extra dirt, grime, and everything, and I just let it naturally fall off with that water. I don't go in there and I don't start prying or knocking stuff off. Yes, some people do it differently, but I just let it naturally fall off of there. And as you can see, it's already starting to just naturally fall off. in the water. Then what I do is then I go ahead and I make sure I get a good electrolysis connection on there, and then I put it in the tank, and that's what we're gonna do next. What I did is filled up the tank with water. I usually typically use warm water, so we're gonna get things ready. What I do is, like I showed you, I use the sodium carbonate, and this works really well. I put an amount in here. Now, if anybody can recommend what amount is best, then please post it, let me know. But I can tell you what, I just eye it up, and typically when I eye it up, it works out well. With this 19 quart container, I usually use like a half a cup to a cup, and it works out really well with all the electrolysis I've done in the past. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this in there right now. All right, now that I have that in there, what I do is I stir it up, mix it up really well. Mix it up really well. So, another thing I want to let you guys know, please do this outside. I don't recommend that you do this inside. Some people will do it inside, but from what I understand, this puts off a certain type of gas, and you know, I don't know exactly what gas it is, but from what I've read, that it puts off a certain type of gas that could be harmful. So I recommend that you do it outside in a well ventilated area. So that's what I do. So now that the solution is set up and getting things ready, I have the charger that's going to be plugged into a plug right out here, and I keep this outside, and I keep it under a cover of a porch, which you know, so it keeps it out of the elements. So lock plate's going in next. Lock plate's been sitting in water solution for probably about, I don't know, half hour, 40 minutes now. So hopefully all that mud and stuff has come off of it, and we'll get a good connection and get it in here. All right, looking forward to letting you guys see what it looks like at the end. Stay tuned. All right, guys, here it is, the lock plate. Look, I don't know if you could see this, that just soaking it that little bit of time has gotten a lot of that nasty dirt and mud off of it. But it, you know, so you look for an area that's going to be more exposed to the direct metal, and that's where you want to hook into, because if you just go onto this rust deposits, it's not going to give a good current. Over time, you might have to adjust it, move it around to make sure it gets a good current. Always make sure that your battery charger is not plugged in. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to connect this in an area that is sort of exposed right there on the edge. All right, and that should give me a good connection for now. I might have to adjust it later, but that's a pretty good tight connection there. Okay, what I'm going to do here is I put this on here because I don't want this to rest on the bottom. I want the current to go all the way around it. I'm going to put this on here, and I'm just going to take this. I'm going to wrap it around this to where it suspends in the water, guys. Let's see if I can get this to work properly. Money. There we go. Now it's sitting in there to where it's going to suspend perfectly down in there. I don't know if you guys can see it. It's right down there, and it suspends, just sits right in the water in between the plates. Okay, guys? I don't know if you can see it. So that's the way you want to do it. Now, like I said, then the positive is going to go to my splice line that I showed you earlier here, and I'm going to connect that up now. Make sure all these connections are connected. That's connected now. Before you plug it in. Before you plug it in. Don't plug it in and then do this. I mean, it's common sense, guys. All right, look. I'm going to go ahead and plug it in now and let this thing go, and we'll show you what it looks like as it's going. All right, stay tuned. All right, guys. Look, I'm going to show you this so you can see it, and you'll get the idea of what I'm talking about. If you come down into the tank, look at that fizzing. See that fizzing coming off of that lock plate? It's not on the lock plate as much as it should be, only because the connection isn't too great. But as time goes on, the connection will get better as some of that rust peels off. and then we'll readjust those clamps on there, and it'll get even better. But if you see the current, look how the current is going back and forth from the plates to this. So this is the negative, this is the positive. The negative wants to jump to that positive, and it's going to pull all that rust to those plates. All right, so we're going to let this sit in there. I put this in here at this lock plate in at 2:30 today, and right now it is 5:30, so we're looking at 3 hours that it's been in here for, and it's looking really good so far. And what I mean by looking good, it still has a long ways to go, don't get me wrong, but when I show you this and bring it down, you're going to see that it's definitely having a good contact with the metal to where it's connected up really good, to where it's getting through, that current is getting through the metal and causing it to bubble up throughout the entire lock plate, which is good. That's what you want. I'm going to bring you down here, and hopefully you guys can see it. If you look, you can see the bubbles that are there, just like last time, but actually when I bring up the lock plate, you're going to see, you can actually see the bubbles just coming off of the lock plate. I'm going to come over here on this angle, and if you can see it around the hammer and everywhere else, the bubbles just fizzing off of it. That's what you want, and that's actually, that metal looks great. Still has a long ways to go, but it's been 3 hours. It's looking good. It's connected up really well, so I'm not going to adjust it. I'm just going to let it go and stay in there for several more hours. It's going to be a long time before I even think about trying to take a soft, I always start with a soft one before I even think about taking a soft bristle brush to it. Alright, so it's been 2 more hours. I last checked it at 5:30 p.m. and it's now 7:30. I just shut it off, and we're going to come down into the tank. Sorry about the way I'm holding this, if it's not too bad. Oh yeah, guys, I don't know if you can see this. Look at that. Look at that. It's already going down to the base metal that quick. I don't know if you guys can see it and get out of the shadow there. Oh yeah, look how this metal and the corrosion is just falling off. That's exactly what you want. Just to slightly touch it, and it just goes right down to the smooth metal right there. Look at that. This is going to turn out being really pretty. Man, this is going to turn out being really pretty when this is done. At least I hope so. So I'm going to wait a little bit longer before I use the light bristle, and then I'll use the light. Let me see which one I have. The light bristle. It's really soft. And then after I use the light bristle, I'll put it back in a little bit longer. And then if there's some really, really rough stuff, then I might switch to the medium bristle that I have here. But it's not plastic. It's actually stainless steel, but it's like a medium. So we'll see how that turns out. As I promised, step by step. It's 9 o'clock now, 9 p.m. at night. We're going to go and pull it out. I just unplugged it. I haven't even looked at it yet. So we're going to see how much more corrosion and how much more the electrolysis is done on this lock plate. Cross your fingers, and hopefully it's done a lot more. Oh yeah, guys. Look at this. Look at that. The smooth metal. I don't know if you guys can see that. It's just coming off with my thumb now as I rub it. It's just going to the smooth metal right here. See all the metal just breaking off? That's all rust. That's actually rust coming down to the base metal. If you could see it right there. And you could actually see the clear line definition of the hammer coming away from the lock plate and everything. This is just going to turn out really beautiful. Oh, and the back side, look at that, guys. I don't know if you could see it. I don't know if you guys can see that really well or not, but look at that back side. It's gorgeous. It's just, this is all going to still clean up even more, and it's just, this is going to look really good when it's done. Now, it's 10:15. 10:15 now. I'm checking it again. I just shut it off, unplugged it. And let me tell you something. It's getting cold out. And I don't know how much longer I'm going to be checking on it tonight, because I tell you what, it's getting cold. But like I said, I'm going to do it with you guys so you guys can see. Let me unhook it here. and bring it out. Look at that, guys. Let me see if you guys can see it. There we go, get out of the shadow. Look at that. Look how it's just, that extra rust is just coming right off. See with the finger? Just pops right off. Look at that. That's what you want. It's definitely getting there, guys. Getting there, getting there. See how it's just totally just coming off, going down to the base metal? I think I'm going to be at the point to where, since it's really loose, using the soft bristle brush. At this point, I might transition, see how it just wipes off, go into the soft bristle brush, plastic brush that is, and then work my way up if needed. But right now, guys, it's looking pretty good. Taking my time on it, and hoping you guys are liking what you're seeing, because I'm liking it. Look, it is 11:30 at night and it is cold, and so I'm gonna pull it out, check it for the last time tonight, and then what I'm gonna do is the battery charger, I'm just gonna back it down to 2 amps, so it's barely giving it a trickle charge or a charge to make it through the night. So then tomorrow I will check it again tomorrow morning, and hopefully by then, tomorrow morning, with it running at 2 amps, it will be really good and basically done. So it's been on all day, so let's go ahead and look at it for the last time and see what it looks like. Alright, guys, like I said, always shut it off before you get back into it. But oh yeah, guys, look at that. Look at that shine coming on that. Look at that little still coming off, some of it coming off. But man, does that look a lot better, guys. I mean, look how smooth that is now. Nice and smooth. Right there's, look at that. That's great. That's gonna, I can actually get all that extra stuff. It's coming right off. That's awesome. This is going to clean up well, guys. This might be it for it. I might just do a little bit longer. Like I said, sorry for the camera footage here, but maybe just maybe a trickle charge through the night. Alright, guys, good morning. As I promised you I would, step by step, and I didn't want you guys to miss any of it. Look, it's 7 a.m. and it's cold. Last night I changed the water out on it, and I used a light brush on it, and then I backed it down to 2 amps, shut it down from 10 amps to 2 amps, because I didn't want to take the chance of overdoing it throughout the night. So I backed it down, changed the water out. This is the first I've checked it since last night. I shut the charger off, so we're going to see what it looks like. Hopefully it looks really good. Last night when I ran the brush across it, the light brush, it cleaned up really well. I mean, I was really happy with the way it cleaned up. So guys, here we go. We're going in, and we're gonna check it out. It looked good last night. It was starting to look really good, but God, that water's cold. Oh guys, this looks awesome. Holy crud. It's still got a lot of black on it. God, I can't get this clamp off while holding my... Yeah, still a lot of black on it. It's just coming right off. Look at my hands. That's awesome. Look at how lighting. Oh my God, guys. Oh, this is awesome. I don't know if you guys can see it. I got a date. Oh, electrolysis is working really well on this. Holy crud. I got a date, 1863. Where's the, it should say Richmond somewhere over here. All right, guys, I got the lettering. Holy crap. I got the back half of Richmond. I got O-N-D. It's all right here. Hey, guys, look. I got to get this inside and clean this up more. I am so excited. This electrolysis done so really well on this, and I'm gonna get this inside because the black is, you know, all over my hands, and see if I can reveal this date even more and the lettering even more. This is cleaned up extremely well. I'm really pumped up, guys. I hope you are enjoying these videos. All right, stay tuned. All right, guys, JP here with Mason Dixon Diggers. Look, as I promised, I was going to take you step by step. The next step is I want to wax it, so I got to get everything ready and start getting that going. It's about 7:45 in the morning. I just pulled the lock plate out of electrolysis. I brushed it off really good. Man, guys, I am pumped up to tell you. I got the date of 1863 off of it and a partial of Richmond. I got the back half of Richmond on the lock plate, a couple letters. So I'm really pumped up about that because I didn't expect to actually get the Richmond. I was hoping for it, but you know, I was crossing my fingers, but it actually turned out. Okay, so what this is now is the waxing part. Let me get this camera so you guys can see. I'm gonna bring it up. Okay, guys, right here I used a normal propane tank connection. Okay, I don't know if you guys can see here, just normal propane tank with the shutoff valve. This here is usually for like crock pots or crabbing and stuff. Inside this is going to be my wax. Okay, now obviously it hasn't melted yet, so we're going to go ahead and get that started and get it into the wax. But it's self-explanatory from this point on. You just turn the bottle on and get the propane rolling and let the wax melt. I typically let the item sit in there for about a good 45 minutes, but when I go to do that, I'll show you what the reaction is when you put it in. And things that you got to be careful of. You definitely don't want to have this wax all the way up to the top of your container. As you see, mine is only up halfway, and there's a reason for that, and I'll explain that later. Things are moving along well. This wax is starting to melt. I don't know if you can see it blowing through there. This takes a while because it was a pretty thick piece of wax. But if you hear that popping noise, what that is, that's the moisture. You see all the bubbles coming up. That's some moisture or condensation that was in this wax from the last time I wax sealed something. So I say that for a reason. Like I said, you only want to have this up to about halfway or 3/4 of the way, because when I go to put this lock plate in, when all this wax is melted, you're going to see how this lock plate and the moisture and all the water that's in there, it just fizzes up. It'll fizz up and bubble up. And if you have this wax all the way to the top, what could happen is when that thing starts fizzing up and bubbling up, and it could overflow. And if it overflows and hits that flame, you're going to have a flash fire. That's why I always recommend to everybody, if you're going to do waxing of any sort, you need to have it outside. Do not do it under in the garage. That's just crazy. Or under overhang of a porch or anything along those lines. Don't do that. I'm doing mine on my back patio away from my house, and to make sure that there's going to be no issues. Then I also put a board here. I don't know if you can see from the last times that I've done some sealing. Once you take it out, it's super hot, and I put it down there on the board. I keep it, once I get that wax going, guys, once I get it going, I got a thermometer here. I recommend, if you guys do this, you should get this, and you get your wax and get it about 225 to 250. Once you get that temperature around 225 to 250, that's where I like mine. I think that's the money temperature, and I keep it there around that for, like I said, about 45 minutes. Until you get hardly any bubbles or fizzing from your object that's in there waxing, and you'll see what I mean when we do it in the next video here. Okay, guys, just stay tuned. Oh yeah, guys, hear that popping? We're getting closer. Still got a little wax here, it needs to melt, but we are definitely getting closer. Still has some moisture in there a little bit, that's why you're getting all that popping. but almost there, guys. Definitely almost there. Oh yeah, it's gonna look good. And just a little update, I went and worked on the lock plate a little bit more, and I have the date. I think I mentioned it already, 1863 on the lock plate, and the last part of Richmond, M-O-N-D. Then there's a little bit of a spot to where I can make out Virginia as well, VA. So I got the last part of Richmond, I got Virginia, and 1863. So I'm really pumped up about this process. It worked out really well. All right, guys, this is what we've been waiting for. We're at the moment. All right, look, I'm about to go ahead and put it in. My temperature's up to about 250, so my temperature is good. I'm about to put the lock plate in. But before you guys ever decide to do this, I want you to realize what you need to be safe about. Make sure you have a fire extinguisher, okay, guys? Just in case something does go wrong. But you're gonna see what I'm talking about when you first put this in here. It takes a bit, but once it gets in there, it's gonna start fizzing up really bad. It's the moisture coming off of it. If you hear that popping, that's because there's still moisture in the tank. And bring you in here closer. I always use tongs to make sure that I'm not burning the crap out of myself. But here we go, guys. I'm hoping that you can see this. Just the lock plate's gonna go in. Get close for you to see. It's not gonna fizz right away, but you'll see in a little bit. Plate's coming in. You can see the bubbles coming out of the metal and the air coming out of the metal. There we go. There's some, that's the bubbling that I'm talking about. All right, that's what's happening. It's starting to cook out of the metal now, guys. That's what you want. You want to get all of, there you go, that's what I'm talking about. You want to get all of it out. Now it's going to keep doing that a lot more. And that's all of the moisture coming out of that lock plate and boiling out. Like I said, there it goes, guys. All right. Well, it'll be in there for a good 45 minutes, guys. It's been in there. Lock plate's been in there for now for about 45 minutes. I put some stirrups in there right after I put the lock plate in. These are some stirrups that I dug up some. But if you look, there's hardly any bubbles coming off of there at all. That's what you want. You want to get to the point to where you barely see any bubbles coming off of that at all. That means that this is basically done. You get some sporadic bubbles here or there, but this is done. This is not bubbling at all. It's just sitting in there calmly. That's exactly what you want. Once you get to that point, then you can take it out. So I'm going to take it out here shortly and let it dry and then let you guys see the end result. Stay tuned. So I'm pouring it out, pouring the lock plate out. What I like to do is I shake it really good. I don't know if you guys can see this or not, but I'm shaking it really good to get all that wax off. It's really, really hot anyway, so it's gonna come off pretty well. But I just like to get all that excess off. I'll set it right here on the board. Do the same with the stirrups. Shake them off really good. JP here with Mason Dixon Diggers. I hope you enjoyed my video that I put together for you guys. I wanted to do a video that started from the beginning of electrolysis to the end of waxing the relic. Now, I also wanted to do a couple things along the way to show you guys how you can make up your tank and how I've made up my tank, and to where you can do it yourself. Now, keep in mind, if you guys do decide to do this yourself, look, you're doing it at your own risk, because there is a lot of things that you want to do your research on and look into. I say that because, you know, you're dealing with water and electricity, you're dealing with propane, hot wax. So do your research and figure out which way is best for you. Each person is different. This is the way I do my relics. So I hope you enjoyed it. Maybe this can help you out in what you want to do as far as preserving your relics. Now, as far as the LOX plate's concerned, it turned out beautiful. It's a 1863 Richmond Confederate lock plate. Now, I know this because we were able to get the date off of the actual lock plate itself, and we were actually able to get the partial word of Richmond. It's actually M-O-N-D, and then Virginia. It does say VA on it. So that's awesome. It turned out really well. I'm really excited about that. So I'm just glad that Brian Koblance found this when we went out on our hunt at the Battle of Monocacy, and that he allowed me to do the electrolysis on it. So thank you, Brian, for letting me do this. And then again, guys, if you like the videos that we're posting, please like us on Facebook, and then also subscribe to us on Facebook, Mason Dixon Diggers. Okay, check us out. We're trying to get it done out there. We're trying to do it and preserve the relics and the history. That's why I'm wearing a shirt, Saving History, one piece at a time. That's why I saved this shirt for this last video. Okay, guys, thanks again for watching, and stay safe and happy hunting out there.